Hey everybody, it's your boy Johnny Quantum in the building. I wish you all a happy holidays. Hopefully everything went well, is going well. Uh, so, hmm, one moment. Alrighty, one second. All right, so basically I'm going to be bringing in the guest tonight. As of course you all know, that guest is Nate Shook. Now, Nate's been in the business for a very long time. Some of you might not realize that. He's definitely been doing his thing. And obviously, he must be quite good at it because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be a part of the fastest growing sport in the world. Notice I didn't say America. Notice I didn't say just Pennsylvania, where it's based out of, where the headquarters is at. No, I mean the world, people. I mean, bare knuckle fighting is something that's been around for a long time. And, BKFC been around for longer than most people think. Underground to now doing its thing. The story is amazing, and how Nate got involved with them, I really want to know that. I kind of want to pick his brain on that. I've kind of been thinking about stuff like that. Of course, the fights that are coming up that he's played and the fights that they've had that he's played such a major role in the progression of that. And I do have to tip my hat to the man. So without further ado, I bring to you Nate Shook. Nate,
how's it going, buddy?
Oh, hey, look, I can't complain. Holidays still got the tree up, being festive. You know what I mean? Being festive. How was your holidays?
I was good. I got spent with my wife and our son. We spent it at the house here, but it was just family time together, and the one day of the year that I get to relax a little bit from the fight business.
Yeah, I was gonna say that schedule is pretty rigorous. Especially you guys are doing stuff that other combat sports have tried, but you guys have really mastered the art of the tryout. Now I know that's added to your schedule. But before we get into that, I gotta ask. You've been doing this for a long time. Could you please tell some of these people exactly how long you've been in the matchmaking business?
So I got into combat sports right after my 23rd birthday. I started promoting boxing events down in North Carolina. I went on to open up a small gym that I ended up merging into a larger gym later. But my passion was always to not only train fighters and mostly boxers, but to also have an area for them to show their craft. So I was doing professional boxing, promoting it. My first year was rough. I was paying guys, in my opinion, way too much because I was selling out venues. I was keeping my costs down, but I still wasn't making money. I was losing money, honestly, on most shows. But then after I figured out I didn't need to have 14 fights on a card, we could do 10 or 11. We worked out the sponsorships because I didn't know anything about getting sponsors at 23, 24.
Right.
And I just learned by going to other promotions and seeing what they were doing. I was like, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that. Leads me to 2006, September 23rd, 2006. I was a matchmaker for a mixed martial arts event in Virginia. It was an all-pro show. And I met Dave there, who I ended up losing contact with for about 4 years. I moved back to Pennsylvania from North Carolina. I promoted a show, and then I ended up starting my own company and hiring someone to be my promoter because I truly like the matchmaking aspect of combat sports. And I'm not one that's in front of the camera a lot at events. So a lot of people don't even know my name and my face together. So I'm running around in the back because my wife and I both do backstage management for BKFC, and so now like I'm handing that more off to her, and I'm doing other stuff. But a lot of people didn't even put two and two together at first. And so Dave does really well in promoting. We worked together great in 2011, 2012, all the way through 2014. I merged my smaller promotion to XFE, which was his promotion. He took the role of promoter. I took the role of matchmaker. He handled everything in front of the cameras and inside of the metal area around the ring. And then I handled everything outside of that and dealing with contracts. And it's a good working partnership. At the end of the day, BKFC is his company, and we do what he feels is best for the company, but he also allows us to express our points of view and our interests. And but at the end of the day, when we leave the office, whatever decision is the final decision made, our team stands behind and we go with. And I think that's why we work so well, because we don't battle things out. We don't have these big blowouts. We jive really well together, and it works good.
Yeah, it does. That's obvious due to the simple fact of, one, longevity. People who haven't been in the combat sports world have no idea. It's a meat grinder. It can literally chew you up and spit you out in the blink of a nanosecond. Welcome to the combat sports game, especially behind the scenes.
It's tough. You have to have thick skin, and dealing with fighters, especially as the matchmaker, there's a lot of emotion, because we have over 200 fighters that we've been dealing with over the last 2.5 years, and they all love bare knuckle fighting. BKFC is the pinnacle. We're the top in bare knuckle fighting. I mean, bar none. And like you said, it's the fastest growing sport in the world. So we're garnering more and more interest every day and every week. For example, I get between 60 and 80 applications a day for fighters that want to apply to be a fighter.
Wow.
But that's not really the way we're finding them now, because we found that hosting these tryouts, we're finding talent that might not have the most impressive records. And if they fill out an application and I see that they're 2-9 or 4-7, I may not pick up the phone and say, that's the right guy for us.
Right.
But when we do these tryouts and I see the fighters in front of us and I see what they're able to do, I'm like, this fighter, might be, made for bare knuckle fighting. Maybe the mixed martial arts career wasn't their thing, or maybe boxing, they were doing it for the pay because they knew they could make decent money or whatever it is. But when I look at them, I'm saying, hey, that person has something special. Let's get him on a roster and let's get him on a card. And if you look at every tryout we've ever had, we've pulled multiple people from each tryout. Going back to the very first one, Arnold Adams, who I knew through mixed martial arts in South Carolina, had an upside-down mixed martial arts record, but he showed that maybe mixed martial arts wasn't his bread and butter sport.
Right.
Maybe it was bare knuckle fighting, because he went from being a local mixed martial artist to the heavyweight champ of BKFC. He won a tournament. It wasn't like he took one fight and won.
Exactly.
He went through and he won the tournament and he earned that championship.
Well, I mean, that's another thing that makes BKFC stand out. You have to actually get in there and earn it, these tournaments. Like, other people have them, but of course, bare knuckles different. Like, the fights, look, if you seriously are not in your seat with your popcorn, with your beverage, alcoholic or not, if you're not in your seat when the fight starts, when they say toe the line, you could miss a couple of fights in the bathroom or talking on the phone. I mean, this is nonstop action. The fans love to see the action. They love to see the knockouts. You guys definitely provide that. And of course, again, like I said, I have to tip my hat to the matchmaking, because again, you look at some of these guys and you have this preconceived notion. Hey, I know that guy from MMA. And all of a sudden it's like the fight happens and you're like, wait a minute. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Obviously you had some insight that most of us don't know, but then again, you've been in the background of the business for so long, to find that talent. And you guys are doing a great job of that.
No, thank you very much. I've been a part of promoting or matchmaking now for over 17 years. And this isn't something that you just grab a sheet of paper and start fantasy matchmaking, because some of the best athletes, some of the best fighters in mixed martial arts have come together to compete, and it doesn't always make for the most entertaining fight because a lot of times their skills offset each other, which can make for a boring fight, if you will. And I hate saying that when you're talking about big names, but it's just the fact. One thing about bare knuckle fighting is it's 5 rounds, each round's 2 minutes, which forces the fighters to either keep up a pace or potentially lose the round in a short distance because there is no like laying and praying. There is no clinching to get out of it like in boxing. In bare knuckle, they get a clinch, they can still punch you.
Right.
For the traditional boxer is kind of foreign, if you will. And then the 2 minute rounds, I mean, anyone, like if I go out here and I punch nonstop for 2 minutes, I'm going to be gassed out. But when you have these athletes train at such a high level, if they come at you and they're applying the pressure, 2 minutes could be, a long time getting punched, but to a person punching, it might not be that long of a time. And all of a sudden now you're down on the scorecards. So it's a unique sport. There's no dull moments. Abby Velasquez, we saw him drop his opponent, Rick Caruso, in around the second. Yuli Diaz holds the fastest knockout in combat sports history.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing.
It was. And when they slow it down, it was sub 3 seconds. Now, just to kind of put that into perspective, the two guys towed the line. The referee told them, knuckle up. A punch had to be thrown, connect it. The other individual had to fall, and the ref had to get in there and wave it off in under 3 seconds. I mean, it's incredible. Like, you would think something like that would take at least 5 or 6 seconds. But we have phenomenal referees. Like, we don't just have any person come referee these fights. We hand select our referees. Well, let me rephrase that. We request the referees that we want from the commission and have to be licensed to the commission and everything.
Right.
So, we go through and we request certain refs that we want to have experience, and we have a small pool that are very knowledgeable in the sport. As we grow and as we continue to expand across the United States and abroad, we're going to bring in more referees that are going to be highly skilled and trained. But right now, there's a very few refs that actually do this. And for that ref to know where to be when the fight starts, and he was able to close the distance and wave off a fight in sub 3 seconds, it is insane. But that's part of the sport.
Yeah, I mean that is one of those things to where as you grow, like you said, it'll redefine itself. It'll get better. It'll get more the norm. Because like you said, I mean, to have that type of training, to be able to get it that fast. I mean, I've been around combat sports my whole life, boxing included, because it's a combat sport. Yeah. And sub 3, Mike Tyson can't even mess with that. And Mike put a lot to sleep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the big difference, again, is boxing and mixed martial arts start from the corners. Some of these fighting surfaces, rings and cages, might be 30 foot. Boxing rings are 20, 22, maybe 24 feet. Some of these cages are 20 to 30 feet. That's a large distance that you'd have to close. Even if both people came in at the same time, that's still 15 feet. I mean, how can you beat a record when you have to close that distance? And I will be surprised if anyone outside of BKFC ever breaks that record, ever, unless someone copies, what Dave created.
True. I mean, it's going to have to be literally total line gives you that opportunity because you're literally right there in front of your opponent. Yeah. And if you fire off like Yuli did, obviously we know what can happen. So again, another thing that the fans love to see, they love to see the knockout. Everybody's like, oh, but it didn't last long. This is a combat sport, people. These things weren't, this is not a jiu-jitsu tournament. Yeah. Okay. And even those nowadays don't last too long at high level. These guys are just grabbing and snapping. It's just what happens. So, but I mean, with you guys, it's nice to see that there's another option out there, and it's viable, and it's the fastest growing sport in the world. Now, I got to ask you, talk about the tournament. We talked about a tournament. you got a lot of vacant belts right now, as in like just ranked people, but no title holders in a lot of weight classes. Are there any plans to kind of let that loose and see what it can do for championships?
There are. So last year we planned on doing a 185-pound tournament. We have a ton of talent in every weight class, and we decided to go with the heavyweights first because people love to watch the heavyweights fight. From there, we went with 135, and then we got hit with COVID. Just like it messed up everyone else, it messed up us as well. We ended up having to postpone the March event in Kansas, April in Alabama, May in Florida. I forget where June was supposed to even be. But then during that time, we didn't get a break. We were still in the office. We were still planning. Dave was still making phone calls. And, he really, really wanted to put a show together, even if we couldn't have a crowd. July 24th, we came and we did Mississippi. And then we figured it out. Like, he made enough phone calls and talked to enough people that we got the formula. We knew what we had to do and who we had to call and talk to, because having fans there changes the atmosphere.
Oh, completely.
And it wasn't even about the financial side of it, because if you can only have 25% or 50%, it's not a lot of people.
Right.
But our fans are so loud and they love the sport so much that having them cheering on those fighters, like Yuli's knockout was insane. It was so loud in there. And it wasn't, that many people compared to our other shows.
Right.
Our show was almost 6 times the size of that crowd.
Oh, by far.
But imagine that knockout in an empty room. I mean, it wouldn't take anything away from what he did, but just the atmosphere of it changes it. So going back to the whole tournament thing, the COVID, kind of messed up our plans for a little bit. And then that's why we did a 4-man tournament for 155, which, isn't what we did for the previous 2 weight classes that we had belts. But we felt that we didn't want to push the tournament because we wanted to close out by September. We didn't want it dragging on until this year.
Right.
So we just, minimized it down to 4 individuals, very tough, that we thought were the top 4. And, Luis Palmio came out the best man out of the group for it. So we may have to look at doing 4-man tournaments maybe for this year to kind of help us get back to where we want to be. Did I lose you? I'd start singing, but I'm not too good at singing. I don't know what to do in this situation. There we go.
There we go.
You back?
Yep, little glitch in the matrix, as they say.
I can't hear you.
How about now?
I know you're talking, but I don't know what you're saying.
How about now?
So a little bit better, but it still has almost like a drum beat to it.
Better?
Yep, perfect.
There we go.
I'm glad you made it back because I'm not a good singer and I know what to do. So.
Yeah. But I will say you probably got stories for days. Stuff that you probably end up going to write a book about. I just want a signed copy. That's all I ask.
Hey, that's doable. It's combat sports brings a lot of people from different walks of life together. It's amazing, all the great people I've met throughout the years in combat sports, boxing, mixed martial arts, and now bare knuckle. I don't see myself ever going back to be involved in mixed martial arts or boxing because I don't even watch it anymore. People send me footage and it doesn't interest me because bare knuckle is just so exciting. And that was the reason why, I wanted to start Toe the Line, was to work with, local promoters and help them come from boxing and mixed martial arts and start promoting bare knuckle. And I think the crowds love it more. I think the promotions love it more. And, so.
Well, I mean, like you said, you've got the recipe. You know exactly how to flow. You've got it down.
Yep.
And you've got it down in a pandemic. So mind you, just imagine people, when this thing really gets to rocking and rolling again, once things start to really open back up, I mean, doing tournaments, I like it because you've got the talent. See, a lot of times, a lot of organizations will want to have a tournament, but don't have the talent to do so. I mean, you've got more than enough talent to have tournaments at every weight class. In a regular condition, it would just be that 6-man tournament for heavyweight. It went because there was no pandemic.
Yeah.
So it kind of went off without a hitch.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and plus the cliffhanger. It's like a cliffhanger. You know what I mean? It's like that third show. Like you're waiting on that third show. You can't wait to see who's going to be champion. But hey, I got to say, Palomino and Allers, they brought it. That was amazing.
Well, when you have two athletes at that high of a level, fights can end quickly. And a lot of people, would ask us, who do you think's going to win? And, it's hard to tell because they have two different styles, and it's a matter of who's able to implement their style first, because these aren't long fights. And Palomino went in there and fought perfectly. I mean, I'll have to go back and watch it, but I don't know if he was even hit clean in that
no,
fight.
He wasn't.
So it's he wasn't fighting a guy who's 2-2. He was fighting an undefeated bare knuckle fighter who finished all but one of his opponents. And I think the fight ended in 52, 53 seconds. So we have a good stable of very talented bare knuckle fighters. And
by far.
I have people reaching out to me that are UFC veterans, Bellator veterans, and it's not that they're not good fighters. They're phenomenal mixed martial artists. That's why they got to the levels they reached. But they're not what I'm looking for. And as crazy as that might sound to some people, it's not a knock on them. It's the fact that they have a style of fighting that I don't think is what we want right now. And in 6 months from now, maybe I come up with a good fight for them and I call them. But until then, I have to match the fights that make the most sense for our company, that are going to be entertaining, that are going to help grow our app. There's James. James Warfield, this guy, great guy. He got me off track here. But we're working on getting James on the card. I know how skilled James is. He came to a tryout out in Arizona. Very dedicated fighter. Can fight 3 different weight classes for us. And, we hope to get him on a card here soon because I know all the experience he has.
He sent another comment.
Yeah. It might be like, I have to go back and see it, but I don't doubt you, James. It's Palomino's tough. Like, I can't. If people had to ask me, like, and I get it all the time, like, who's the most dominant fighter in bare knuckle, and people can name different people for certain reasons. I mean, you have Johnny Bedford went up a weight class and beat a veteran fighter, and Charles Bennett. Marcel Stamps, he was one of the hardest fighters for me to match because the guy's just a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he went up, 20 plus pounds to contend for our heavyweight title. And obviously Luis Palomino is, our champion for us, along with beating another fighter who was 5-0 or 4-0.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, we got a lot of talent.
Oh, tons. I mean, literally, it's just oozing. I mean, there are a lot of, like you said before, there are a lot of guys and ladies that are in MMA, and basically, look, you unfortunately came up in an era of the takedown. Striking hadn't really gotten there to that elite level. Now, guys, how often, unless you're like a really, unless you're a specialist, a lot of the fights you see now, guys are standing up. I mean, it's back. The stand-up is back. And I honestly think that BKFC might have a lot to do with that because, of course, look, fans love knockouts. Submissions are cool, unless you can pull off something crazy like a flying armbar.
Yeah.
But knockouts will always be the it. The heavyweight division goes without saying in all sports. That's where you really see some devastating stuff. BKFC delivers.
Well, look, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the heavyweight because I wanted to touch on that. Joey Beltran has went in there time and time again, and when people look at him, they might not see this big, ferocious heavyweight, but he goes in there and he finds ways to win. I mean, he can punch, he can take a punch, he has cardio, for as good as any athlete, probably in bare knuckle, regardless of weight class. So, from our 135, our lowest male weight class, all up to heavyweight, we have phenomenal talent. We're not just some local or regional show that claims they have the best, but then those people leave to go to another organization. People are leaving major organizations to come fight for us, and it's because Dave built a company, he built a sport, he built this organization a certain way that makes it desirable for other people to want to come fight. And the fighters, once they get here, they love it. And ones that leave and go compete somewhere else or do something else, we hear back from them. It might not be like out in the public, but we hear back from people like, hey, I want to get another fight, or hey, get me back in there. So what's he saying now? Yeah,
he's telling. Look, now Joe's another one. Joe tailor-made. Like he was a good mixed martial artist, and he still is. But tailor-made for this type of sport. Mr. Warfield, another one of those tailor-made.
Absolutely.
That one day could be a good one. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, talking about Joe went in there and beat Will Chope, who was 119 pro fight veteran, and that was a nasty knockout.
Yeah,
and he went and he has had a war with Tom Schoaf. Tom is my son's favorite fighter. He saw Tom's mustache and he thought Tom was the coolest guy out there.
Hey, can you blame him?
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Him and Joe had a phenomenal fight. And to tell you a little bit about Joe, he came to the back and he was all beat up, bit his tongue, eyes split, and he's back there doing interviews. And it's like, go get stitched, go heal up. And he wanted to make sure that the people that wanted to do interviews and get photos got him. I mean, as the swelling happened, I'm sure it wasn't as comfortable and coming down off the adrenaline rush after the fight, but great guy, super talented, has a lot of potential for 165.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard him express interest in 175 as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's a move that I'd want to make unless he comes to me and tells me he's having a hard time making 165 or it's taking a toll on his body. And not that he couldn't compete at 175, because he definitely could, but it's like jumping from 155 to 170 in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of weight. It doesn't seem like a lot of size until you actually do it. So, for example, Marcel Stamps just fought for our heavyweight title against Joey Beltran, who obviously Joey was a much larger person as far as weight goes. Marcel can make 175. So could you imagine someone who just fought heavyweight able to make 175 and Joe, having to fight him at 175, let's say if it was a term or something?
No.
It'd be too big of a size. And I found that 165 to 175 seems to be the break line between the 155, 170 as, MMA goes.
Right.
some of these guys that are just huge, maybe they can fight 185, they can trim to 175, but 170 is just too much. But those guys at 155, 165, like as long as Joe can make 65, I like to see him stay there.
Well, look, he definitely brings that power element at 65, and like you said, these guys that cut down, after rehydrating, they're walking in there close to 200 pounds. You know what I mean? I mean, that's if you're not at that weight walking around, that's a lot to deal with. Now, mind you, individuals do have the power, and we've all seen people compensate with speed and power. But in the long run, you're looking longevity-wise, you can't take that type of – not in modern sports. Back in the day, people did it, and that's just what they did. They didn't have options, and they didn't have the training techniques and, the methods that we have today. So I could get it then, but now it's all about fighting smarter, not harder. And that's why you, sir, are in the position you're in, because you have the insight and oversight to make sure that, look, I got to make sure that you're sure that you're good. Health first, not only cutting the weight, but health also in longevity of your career. Most people don't think of it that way, nor do they even talk about it. So the fact that you have that, and it seems instinctual, you wonder why BKFC people is the fastest growing sport in the world. I mean, you do what you do and you do it well. Now you're about to, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Now you're about to travel. Everybody's about to get a passport ready and head off. I mean, what's going on here, man? Like, we went from Wisconsin, not Wisconsin, but up in Montana. First show. Or Wyoming, first show.
Yep.
From Wyoming to
Mississippi.
No, I mean, but you're about to go to Thailand.
Yeah. So
then you're about to go to England. People, this started in Cheyenne, Wyoming. If you've never been there, people, the hunting is phenomenal. Been there, done that, by the way. The people, top notch, very friendly. But I'll tell you what, to come from being the first sanctioning body to do it out there to now go overseas, I mean, that's kind of mind-blowing in the time period that you guys have done it in. So what's that going to be like? What's going on over there? Talk about that.
So we're not going to be going because of COVID. There's to take the team and to move them, halfway across the world, quarantine and everything else, and bring them back just wasn't feasible. So for Thailand, there's a promoter over there who's going to be doing the show. We may end up sending one or two people over, not to oversee, but just to kind of be there. And I say may because I know of one going, but there may be a second one going. But he's an experienced promoter, and we have a lot of organizations. And again, it's why I started Toe the Line Fight Series. Toe the Line Fight Series is not a promotion. I work with local and regional promoters to teach them the difference on how to promote bare knuckle fighting. And then I bring in the tools, I help them matchmake, because in bare knuckle fighting right now, I'd like to think that I have the most contacts probably of anyone in the world, having the entire database of everyone who's applying to fight bare knuckle. So when a promoter says, hey, I want to be a part of Toe the Line, well, we sit down, again, connected with a production company. I source the ring, I order the canvas for it, and then I open up my database of fighters that are signed to Toe the Line, and the promoter agrees to only use fighters who are signed to my company. So then those fighters will fight on that card, or if he has locals, they'll sign with me as well with him. So they'll sign a 3-fight deal with me, and then a promotional agreement with the promoter, and we grow together. These shows overseas, though, are a little bit different. So February, we did Mexico 2019. That was a huge deal. Like, the company wasn't even a year old, and we went, abroad. Did a huge show down there. Well over 5,000 people attended that event. It was outdoors. It was just an amazing experience. And for such a young company to be able to go to another country to do a show successfully and then come back and not miss a beat was huge. But now we have promoters and different people from around the world saying, bring this product to our country. And I won't hint any countries. I'm sure Dave's going to start releasing them here soon. But UK and Thailand, that's just the tip. When I tell you, like,
I can imagine. I'm
in the office every day with him, and he gets phone calls every day from people from different countries. A lot of times, people from the same country trying to get him to bring this product to them, because even though these other countries may have other people doing bare knuckle fighting,
right,
or a style of bare knuckle boxing, no one is doing it like we are. So my dog just came back. So if you I got a German short hair, but so no one's doing it like we are. We're the biggest, and everyone knows it. And that's not me like being conceited. It's just
that's fact.
People see what we're doing, and take this. I'll put it this way: prior to us doing bare knuckle fighting, a lot of the people we deal with now weren't even involved in combat sports. There's managers now that are managing fighters who have never managed before, but they only manage bare knuckle fighters. There are people doing interviews and podcasts and stuff that have never done it before, but they do it now because they like bare knuckle fighting. That's huge. That shows us that people truly love our product, where they're going to take their time and involve themselves. I mean, you're taking time to talk to me today. We've been on now for 37 minutes.
Yep.
And without bare knuckle fighting, you and I may never have met. But
True.
You're taking your time out of your night that you could be spending with family and friends to talk to me because of a sport that Dave created 2.5 years ago. Like, it's amazing how it just brings people together, and it's doing that worldwide. So you'll see BKFC in, I would say, 4 or 5 countries in 2021, and then I wouldn't be surprised if we were in upwards of 10 or 12 in 2022, doing between 36 and 48 shows a year.
Wow. Yeah, I remember on a previous interview, David talked about that. He had talked about, the schedule and being really like ramping it up. I mean, but it makes sense, especially when you've got Toe the Line, you've got BKFC. It's just genius that you create your own feeder series, of course. That way you control your own talent. Gotta love that. I seriously though, when you look at it, do you ever really step back and really, or do you even have time? Should I ask that? Do you have time to step back and really take it all in? Because literally, in the blink of an eye, it's become an icon. In the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Everyone knows BKFC.
It doesn't hit us because we're not out here, traveling around and blowing money like people think, you would be doing. We're in the office, we're still the same guys doing the same thing we've been doing together for, 10 years. Before it was boxing and mixed martial arts, and everyone was doing it. Now Dave created his own sport, and now we're doing it, and we just happen to be the ones that paved the way. And other people are trying to do it, and I'm not sure if they're not successful or what's happening, but you don't see bare knuckle companies, in my opinion, thriving. And they may be making money, they may be doing everything they want to do. Maybe they only want to do 1 or 2 shows a year. I don't know. But when we're doing, 10 shows a year, last year I think we did 9 shows between BKFC and Toe the Line, 8 or 9 on top of tryouts. I'm away from my family a lot, and it gets tough. Considering we have a BKFC almost every month, we have a Toe the Line almost every month, we have tryouts every month. I'm gone.
Wait a minute. Didn't you just get married not too long ago?
Yeah, I've been married 2 years, come up on 2 years. And luckily my wife is, pretty understanding, but it doesn't mean it's not tough. We spend a lot of time apart.
Well, from us fans, us podcasters, journalists, give a big thank you to your wife, please. Because basically, spouses don't get the love they deal with the other stuff that nobody sees. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you travel a lot. I've traveled a lot. I know what I'm like after, I'm home one day a week, if that, or I'm home twice a month for 2 days.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly the first couple of hours the nicey guy. I've been on the road. I've been dealing with strangers. I've been dealing with fighters. I've been dealing with this or that. So the spouses really deal with that behind the scenes, and they give that support. They got to, or else it wouldn't be worth doing.
Well, we met through combat sports. So I was a matchmaker for her show, and she was having a hard time finding fights because all the females she was sparring either had a ton of experience, or after she sparred them, they won't want to fight her down the road. So I hooked her up. I got her a fight against a girl 30-some pounds heavier than her, a little bit more experience. And she went in there and she fought hard. We lost contact for a little bit, but we got back in contact. And, we got married, March, almost 2 years ago now, 2019. So
nice.
She's been by my side through all this. And then after, I think, 6 shows, she started traveling with me. And then she became Dave's executive assistant and doing all the booking for hotels and travels and scheduling podcasts. And so she does a ton for the company, and she gets to go on the road with me. But again, like, as you know, like, married life at home is different than married life on the road. At home here, I get 3 hot meals, and we sleep in our bed, and we have our dog, and we go on the road, and we're living out of suitcases, and you're dealing with ignorant people sometimes at airports, and now with COVID, you sneeze the wrong way, and people are, causing issues. So
don't have an allergy. Don't have an allergy. I'm just saying. I'm not speaking from experience or nothing. Don't have an allergy. People freak out.
Yeah. So, but again, like, luckily we love what we do. Sometimes, business makes things tough because, she's trying to get something done work-wise. I'm trying to get something done, and, we have to work together. And, sometimes it comes home because you don't get everything done in the office. So you got to come home and you got to do it. But, we both love it, and we have the best company we could possibly ask for, to work for. And the team is like a family. It's we're at each other's weddings. We're there for each other's birthdays. So it's a great company.
This honestly, Nate, this is what people need to see. This is what they need to hear, because all they see is the glitz, the glamour, the knockout, the matchmaking, the this, the that. Yeah. But what you're talking about is truly the nuts and bolts that keep BKFC not only turning but thriving. And that's what it is. That's the key, people. The man is giving you jewels. He's dropping jewels here, people. The man is giving you the blueprint to do whatever it is. You can reapply exactly what BKFC is doing in your regular life. Because that was so important to hear. And I think the listeners and watchers are going to appreciate what you guys do even more, because now they get a chance to hear the human, quote unquote, side of it, outside of, well, we got to put the square circle up, and then we got to get the lighting up, and then we got to make sure the fighters come out on time, and we got to make sure their ring music is done. That's stuff that we all see and hear all the time anyway. Actually, most people are kind of numb to it.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to that behind the scenes, it comes to actually people like, whoa, like, he's on the road. Like, oh, his wife gets to travel. Like, now all of a sudden it takes a different dynamic. You know what I mean? Now it's like, well, damn, I travel a lot. Yeah, I wish my spouse could travel with me. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's work towards it. It's not something you guys started, but you're working it now. I mean, look, Nate, like I said, when you write the book one day, I just want a signed copy.
Hey, that's fine. It's
signed copy.
And you mentioned that, and I guess sometimes I don't sit there and think about it, but I was going through my air miles, and I did 89,000 and some odd miles last year. It's sitting there thinking about how much time you spend, on the road, and thinking about all the different hotels. It's a lot, but we have a passion for this. Not every day is easy, and like I said, when I come home, we try to do podcasts, we try to do phone calls, and we're doing contracts. We put our son to bed at 9 o'clock, and we're still doing contracts and paperwork sometimes till 11, midnight. And, I'm on the road to get to the office around 9 in the morning. So doing a 14 or 15-hour day and taking a break for dinner, that's, I would say it's normal for us, but especially leading up to a fight, I mean, that's what you have to do. That's what you have to be willing to do in order to make this work, because during the day, my phone is nonstop. Like, it's not as bad as Dave's, but I'm constantly getting calls and texts, and we're in meetings, and, you're sending people stuff that they want, but there's no time for me to do what I need to get done. So what do? You stay at the office, or you bring it home. And, I'd rather be here doing on my computer, spend a little bit of time with my family, than behind the computer at the office. So, but it gets done. And, that's the reason, because if we just punched in and punched out and treated it as a 9-to-5 job, half the stuff won't get done. But, our team sacrifices so much. And I don't think that people understand what goes into this, because we don't have a 2,000 person staff. We have a core group of individuals that just will do anything for each other, and they'll break their backs to make sure that this company is successful.
Well, that's obvious. That's obvious, because you guys are doing one hell of a job with it. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like I said, I've been around combat sports for a very, very, very long time. And I've seen them come and go, organizations, fighters, everything, boxing and all. But what you guys have done in this short amount of time, again, I don't know if someone's going to be able to duplicate what you've done because of the timing in which it's done. And everything is timing. We all know, just like in fighting. It's all about timing. You can be as strong as you want, as fast as you want. Timing is everything. And you guys literally, you want to talk about hit that sweet spot. And you found a way to keep it together. I've seen a lot of companies come, blew up really quick, and then all of a sudden they started to get a little loose. They started to fray, and then all of a sudden they disappeared, almost as if like somebody put chains on the doors at night and took all the computers out the room. Gone. You know what I mean? So, but you guys have that it. I guess that same thing that you look for in a fighter, you guys have that same quality as a team. That, my good man, is hard to find. That is incredibly hard to find.
I agree. Like, no one could do this by themselves. It was about having the right team together, because by no means do I think that I'm the best matchmaker out there. But in the team we have, I truly think I'm the best fit. And I think that goes for the promoter as well as all their staff members. We may not be individually the best, but as a team, we work so well together that I think if you put someone else that may quote unquote be better into one of these positions, it may not go as smoothly, or it would take time to get to where we're at, because we just truly work that well together.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, you got Bob, BKFC's here for, and he's right. It's for life.
I give Riz such a hard time, and he still, says hi to me and is so nice to me. I got to see him recently, so it's good.
I mean, you guys got it. We all know it. BK, now, where will people be able to watch? Will they be able to watch the overseas stuff on the app?
Yeah.
Live, or will it be time delayed?
So it'll be on the app. It'll be they can download obviously the app from their app store or bkTVapp.com. Both of them will give them access to it, and then more to come on the future stuff. But the tryouts are delayed. The tryouts aren't live. The overseas stuff, as far as I know, is live.
Excellent. One or two more things. I've kept you long enough. We've kind of just been chit-chatting, going with the flow. And like you said, it's like, whoa, we've kind of been going at it for a minute here.
Oh, yeah.
So with everything going on, like you said, I know you've got a big card coming up in February. Gotta at least drop on that a little bit. I mean, Paige is on the card. She's fighting. We all know who she's fighting now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But how is that card developing? I know that's got to be one of those. Look, it's the Super Bowl. That is a card that has got to match the level of the most watched sporting event in the world in the same city.
Same weekend.
So I know, how's that card shaping up for you?
Oh, we have too many fights. Like I can match 20 fights on that card, and all be barn burners. Here's the thing, the card's done. We have a couple things we just have to finalize, minuscule details, but the card is insane. When we did Daytona, that card was just amazing. Like the level of fights on that card. And I'm not taking anything away from that because that was a spectacular performance by all the fighters. But this card has the potential to be the greatest card in combat sports, not just of the year, but in general. I mean, the fights that were put together, the fighters that agreed to fight each other, it's going to roll out tomorrow. I think that all the announcements go out tomorrow. I'm excited. I was hoping they were going out today, but people that know bare knuckle fighting are going to look at this and just be blown away by the amount of talent that we had on it and seeing the matches. I'm excited. So Britain, obviously people know that Britain's fighting Paige.
Yeah,
I've known Britain for years. She was on the boxing scene in Virginia. She fought boxing on one of Dave's pay-per-view cards in Delaware on Roy Jones Jr. Bobby Gunn card, I believe it was. And a lot of people questioned why her. But even at 1 and 2, I mean, she's tough. She fought, Beck Rollins to a decision. And then I believe her fight versus Christine got stopped because of a cut. But she's tough. Her last performance showed it. She knew that we were looking at her as a possible option, and she went out there and she fought hard. And she showed us that she really wanted it. We had some other options we were looking at, but when we sat down as a team and we discussed it, she had experience and marketability. We knew that her fight versus Beck already garnered millions of views. The one alone, I think, is like 9.2 or 9.4 million.
Yes.
So there was interest there in fans to watch her fight. And a lot of people don't realize how tough of a fight she had her first fight against Beck. So altogether, I think she's the perfect fight for Paige's debut. And, we have the co-main event and the feature bout are both spectacular fights. And the rest of the card, like I said, the fighters that we got, the new fighters, the returning fighters, the matches, it's going to be great. And we have more fights than normal. It's a slightly larger card than we typically put on. But again, Dave wanted to make sure the fans remembered this card for everything about it. The number of fights, the level of fights, everything.
Well, again, like you said, everybody works well together. You know what I mean? And, him having his boxing background, having the pedigree that he's got, it's one of those things to where, he easily can voice a knowledgeable fighting opinion, which is something that some of these other promoters or organizations people don't have. They don't have what Dave's got. You know what I mean? So, again, everything starts from the top and it trickles down and everybody becomes an extension of everybody else. You guys are just doing big stuff and it's amazing. And it's, again, a pleasure to be able to speak with you, be able to watch the growth of it. I don't think it'll be done in our lifetimes. I don't think someone will come out to be able to do what you've done. The way that you're doing it and the amount of time that you're doing it, because you're on pace to be far beyond where other mixed martial arts organizations, no titles included. Yeah. It took other entities a lot longer to get to where you're at, and this is still the beginning. I mean, Nate, this is still honestly like the pinky. This is, I mean, of what, like you said, of what's to come. It's like the pinky, man. So, I mean, I don't want to keep.
A year ago, I can tell you, a year ago, I was taking phone calls from individuals who previously worked for mixed martial arts organizations, and they were just blown away at how fast we grew. They told, the one individual told me that he was, they were at 20 to 22 events before they got as far as we were, and we were on like number 5 or 6. Now, society's changed, so maybe combat sports are more accepted now. But at the end of the day, this is a sport that everyone can relate to. Most men I know have been punched in the face with a bare knuckle. Unless you're doing jiu-jitsu, you've probably never been put in an arm bar or kimura or something. You might have got rear naked choke messing around with friends, but you see two guys wrestling around on the ground, and unless you trained it, you don't know what they're doing necessarily.
Right.
He might be going for this or might be going for that, but you could be wrong too. I mean, jiu-jitsu is a really high level competition. But when you see, one person get punched in the face by another, it doesn't matter. Like, you're like, oh, I know that one hurt because you've probably been there before, So it's a really relatable sport. It's fast paced, and we have a different level of athlete. And even though getting kneed in the face, getting kicked in the head does more damage, and I mean, it's scientifically proven now that a knee or a kick does more damage than a punch. It still takes a different type of fighter to want to go in there and fight bare knuckles, and it could be the stigma of it. I'm not sure. I'm not fighting bare knuckle or MMA, but we see that you have some people who come and try it out, and they love it. They're like, oh well, I was going to do this, well, MMA was off or boxing was off, but they don't want to go back to their other sport. They want to stay fighting bare knuckle. So I love it. I'm thankful to all the fighters. I'm thankful to my team. I'm thankful to my wife for constantly being there, and being supportive. And I'm looking forward to many years to come. And hopefully we talk again, in a couple of years down the road, and I can be like, hey, you were right. Look at where we got to. Like, no one was able to catch us because, we've been doing such a great job. So
I don't see it. I like I said, been around fighting since I came out the womb, and I've never seen it this fast. This and it's getting better. It's not fizzling. It's not plateauing. So, Nate, where can everybody find you? Where can they hear the news of fight cards, all that information? Where can they keep up with everything that is Nate Shook, everything Total Line, everything BKFC?
So on Instagram, my main Instagram account is the BKFC_matchmaker. On there, we post upcoming events, tryouts, a plethora of information, and then Total Line Fight Series also on Instagram. That's the best place to reach out. Like Facebook, was kind of the thing for a long time, but it gets to be too much. So Instagram, get the messages, and we can post things and get right out to everybody. So thank you very much. I really appreciate being on and getting to talk. And I love the way you do it. It's more of a conversation between friends than, a 30-question type thing. And like I said, it's been an hour and it doesn't even feel like it. But I just want to say thank you. Thanks to everyone that tuned in, and to our main 2 sponsors, at least, Tiger Life Energy Drink. Great guys. They're at every event. They support us, fully. And then Fusion CBD products. Again, I use their products. When my knees swell up or my feet swell up, they have some phenomenal products out there. So, check them out too as well, and try their products. And if I'm not even an energy drink person until I had Tiger Life, I'll tell you, they call it the cleanest energy drink. And I was a skeptic. I drank it, and now I got a case of them at work. So I sit there and I drink them at the office to keep me going through the long days I was telling you about.
Nice. Well, like yourself, I've been on a lot of different sides of combat sports. internet radio, quote unquote, when it was called internet radio 12 years ago. So I've been doing this a while, and I've definitely found the best quote unquote interviews are conversations. Because if we can conversate, time goes by quick. We get a lot of stuff out. It's just, hey, look, we could be having beers right now. We could have had the same discussion having beers.
I think Conversate was started by Biggie Smalls.
People who know stuff. I like it.
Oh yeah,
I like it.
No, like I said, it fits perfectly. So it's the conversations because it's not a grilling session. So and I love to tell, a story of it and not just sit there and do dry responses. So, let's get another one going, and maybe we talk about the results of Knuckle Media after the 5th.
I will definitely do that. I will definitely reach out and set that up for after the fight. Anytime that you have anything to say, that you want to get out, you are always welcome on the Johnny Quantum Show.
Awesome.
Always, Nate. You got a home here. We're here. Hey, kind of like Motel 6. We'll leave the light on.
Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you again soon, bud.
All right. You have a great night, Nate.
All right. You too. See ya.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That was Nate Shook, BKFC matchmaker, toe the line / matchmaker organizer, facilitator. He wears a lot of hats, but at the end of the day, when you really start to think about it, he's got his family. His family's now with him. His family is now on the road with him versus him just traveling. Being a road warrior is a special breed of individual. I know because I've been one. You know what I'm saying? So now that he can travel with his family and to hear the bond that BKFC has as a whole is deep. You don't hear about that from these other companies. You don't hear about that from, and I won't mention any names because I'm not giving them any play, but you know who they are. If anything else, they're all trying to stab each other in the back, trying to get a better position. And then you got a company like BKFC. They come along, they give fighters opportunities. A lot of older fighters are getting opportunities. You know what I'm saying? And that is major because it's now giving people a chance to fight long after their quote unquote boxing career or their MMA career would have been over. And again, not everybody is built for grappling or jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Not everybody's built for it. And BKFC is showing that striking is back. Striking is back. Johnny says it. Bro, we want the KO. Put that on a t-shirt, Johnny. Put that on a t-shirt, sign it, and send it to me. Real talk. All right, y'all. You know how we do it here on the Johnny Quantum Show. We have conversations. I've been doing this for a long time, 13 years or so. That's what we do. Conversation rules the nation, people. And that's what we have here at the Johnny Quantum Show. It's good old conversation. But until that next conversation, you know how your boy likes to take it out. Peace.